What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, we did have that state of play from Sony, and they had two major games from Sony specifically show up there as they work to set up their 2026, but we'll go over all the announcements that were made there here today. Also, we're going to be talking about Nintendo as it looks like they're responding to some of the feedback in the backlash online for one title in particular, as an update was pushed that seems to fix a lot of the complaints around it, and we may have another Game of the Year contender that's popped up online with Metacritic scores coming in the 90s, showing that, wow, 2025, especially as we get towards the end, is certainly packed full of actually a lot of really good games. All that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below, and of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or link in the description down below. And we're gonna start today with a new Fire Emblem game that was just randomly announced last night. This we can see over on Nintendo's website. They say Fire Emblem Shadows, a smart device game, introducing a new style of battles featuring role-playing and social deduction available today. So yes, Fire Emblem Shadows is a cell phone game. Well, smart device game, as they say, and it's out now. It is free to start, and it's kind of interesting the way they describe it here. So they say it's a spin-off of the Fire Emblem series and introduces a new style of battles featuring role-playing and social deduction. As in, apparently, after the initial battle, players vote to determine who they believe is the treacherous disciple of Shadow, and the outcome of the vote affects whether the next battle is more favorable or more challenging. Now, we saw Fire Emblem Heroes has been incredibly successful for Nintendo, and that's more of a gacha-style game. This appears to be more of a traditional Fire Emblem game than what Heroes is, so I'll be curious to see how this goes. Naturally, there will be microtransactions in there. Again, it's free to start with optional purchases, as they say. How optional? Well, we'll find out as people check it out, as it's available right now, again, on iOS and Android devices. Also, we did have Yakuza Kiwami 3 get announced during the big RGG Summit live stream that took place. This we can see over on Gamatsu, where they say publisher Sega and developer RGG Studio have announced Yakuza Kiwami 3 and Dark Ties for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, Switch 2, and PC through Steam. It will launch on February 12th. So two things here. One, there it is. It's on the Switch 2. It is, as you'd expect, a game key card. It's Sega after all. And it's going to be on the PlayStation 4. So we also get more PS4 games going into 2026. But we heard about Yakuza Kiwami 3 because they had accidentally posted it up on their website ahead of this show. But the Dark Ties thing is kind of interesting as it's just new content. It's a whole new, I guess, side story they're adding into the game. So fans of the long-running Yakuza series, seeing this, I mean, it should be pretty exciting there. It's priced at $59.99, and there will, as you figure, be a digital deluxe edition that'll be priced at $74.99, and there's a whole list of legendary outfit packs and stuff that you get with that. So, hey, good way here, I guess, to start off Tokyo Game Show for a lot of people who were tuning in to see this. It was happening like overnight, actually, ahead of the state of play. So that's the thing with Tokyo Game Show. You have some stuff happening in the middle of the night, some stuff happening early in the morning. Sometimes things are happening even later in the afternoon. So it's kind of all over the place right now, but Yakuza fans can be excited going into 2026 as not only Kiwami 3 is a thing, but also some new content to go with it. Oh, and sticking with Tokyo Game Show, it does look like the Switch 2 will have Resident Evil Requiem playable at Tokyo Game Show. This we can see from Genki, who pointed it out. Resident Evil Requiem on Switch 2 playable for the first time there. We have the little slide that seems to show it, I guess, in handheld mode. I assume that's how they're going to be featuring it, since that is like the big differentiating factor between a Switch 2 and a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series, something like that, is the fact that the Switch 2 has portable mode. And this is a game it's going to be pretty interesting to see it running on the Switch 2, just based on all the things we've seen so far with how this game looks, which is very, very impressive, and then how the Switch 2 is able to handle that. So we'll see if footage just kind of gets out there, as that tends to happen, even if they're not supposed to. People kind of just record off to the side a bit without saying anything, and they'll post it online. So we'll have to keep an eye out, as this seems to be something that should be getting hands-on time here any day now. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with that Sony State of Play that happened yesterday, and it did run a little longer than 35 minutes, and there were two major factors. One as to why, since it was the final thing they showed. But there were two big games there for Sony that starts to set up 2026 alongside of a bunch of third-party games and indie games and all kinds of stuff there. But we're gonna go through everything that was announced, and we'll start right at the top with Saros. That kicked things off, and it's not a bad idea. We already know about this game. We have seen at least some stuff with it in terms of the direction and how they're going to be following very closely to Returnal, and they told us we should be seeing gameplay before the end of the year, so here we are, and they start showing it. It definitely takes a lot from Returnal. I mean, it almost looks like it's just Returnal 2, but then they start showing off some of the things that will differentiate it. Now, they mentioned that you can hold R1 as an example to defend with a shield and absorb projectiles. It'll let you hit harder with your weapons, almost like secondary fire, I assume, that we had with Returnal. But when they showed second chance progression, and it's sort of like this ability, I guess, that you earn as you go along to go with that progression. You can come back after you die one time. So it's like that extra life that you go into battle with. And they really wanted to hammer home the fact that you will come back stronger every time. And what I figure is happening here is that second chance is something maybe that you unlock in a skill tree as you get currency or experience or something that will mark your progress. So every time you die and have to go back, I figure you're just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and eventually be able to break through any sticking points or something in the game, which is completely different from Returnal, because while you would have some stuff that you would be able to keep, for the most part, you were starting fresh every time, right? So there was much more need to overcome difficult situations with just pure skill and just learning patterns. This is enhanced for the PS5 Pro, and it is coming out March 20th, 2026. Yes, we got the release date, so half a year away. Not bad, and we should see more information about this, of course, as we get closer and closer to it. And I would assume the big thing that they will detail is the progression system, some kind of skill tree or something to give us more and more in terms of power-ups or just strength to be able to get to the end of the game, because I feel like that is something that they have had to... They've come to terms with. Returnal is a game that not everyone out there is going to be able to beat, but with something like Saros, where you can continue to accumulate skills and abilities and keep them, you will eventually just brute force your way through to the end of the game. Either way, I think the game looks awesome from what they've shown here, and we'll see more about it as we get towards that March 20th release date. Moving over to Zero Parades, that is coming out 2026. Flight Simulator 2024. Yes, Microsoft made an appearance here, coming out December 8th, 2025. There will be PSVR 2 support. Not too surprising because it has VR support on the PC as well. Battlefield 6. A campaign trailer. We already heard that there would be a showcase for the campaign at Tokyo Game Show, and I think it looks good, all right? I mean, it's Battlefield. A lot of people are going to buy it for the multiplayer, but they really took a good bit of time here to highlight the destruction that was happening on these different buildings off in the distance, and I'm hoping that is something that they really set up for some really cool set pieces in the single player campaign, but that is still coming out October 10th, not too far away there, like 2 weeks or so. Deus Ex Remastered, kind of a random thing. Now, this is Eidos Montreal and Aspyr collaborating on it. Enhanced visuals, overhauled controls, and more. Coming out February 5th, 2026. I mean, the game does feel dated now. You can play it on PlayStation Plus. Like, they had added it to the Premium Classics section. And when you do, you go, yeah, it's kind of a product of its time. Definitely something that was way ahead of its time, but could use an overhaul a bit here, and that's what they're doing. So kind of a cool little surprise. Halloween the Game, that got a release date September 8th, 2026. Yeah, we're about a year out, but I mean, it still looks like that asymmetric kind of multiplayer game online, but then it also apparently is going to have a full single player. Last Epoch, that is coming to PS5 along with the expansion that is currently in development. Seven Deadly Sins Origins, that's January 28th, 2026. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. That's out what, today? And they showed the Mega Man DLC. This had leaked out previously, so yeah, kind of a ruined surprise, but they did still have a few other things to show us. Proto Man is also going to be a playable character, and they have an entire reimagining of Dr. Wily's Castle. Capcom, what do you do? You have to have something Mega Man related coming up here. So, I mean, this looks really good, but I kind of look at this as, oh, Sega's doing it. Like, I feel like Capcom, all this stuff for Mega Man, it feels like there's something on the horizon, okay? So don't give up hope out there, Mega Man fans. Neo 3 got its release date, February 6th, 2026. And then Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered, they had some fun showing some of the old style visuals on the old days on the PlayStation and stuff, and then they moved up to the newer visuals here on the PS5, back and forth. Kind of a cool contrast. March 19th, 2026 on that one. Code Vein 2, bit of a surprise there too, January 30th. 2026. Another spot here for Final Fantasy Evil East Chronicles. That's the new tactics, or the remastered tactics game from the PS1. September 30th, 2025. So that's coming up next week. I'm picking that up day one. Let It Die Inferno. This game looked weird. It's an extraction action game according to them. PvPvE, and you lose everything if you die, including your character's body. All right. December 3rd, 2025. Chronoscript The Endless End. I like the art style. I think it looks really cool. It's kind of like this pen-drawn style, and it seems like it's just taking place on the pages of a book as you run along. 2D action game that is coming out 2026. Crimson Desert, which was originally delayed out of this year, got its new release date, March 19th, 2026. And then it was hardware time, except maybe not the hardware you're expecting here, because it's Pulse Elevate wireless speakers. These are desktop speakers that seem mostly geared towards the PC. However, it will work on your PS5 and PlayStation Portal. They show this off through a PlayStation Link adapter. 3D audio support, there's a built-in microphone, and they will use enhanced voice recognition and just be able to clean up the background noise through AI. That is coming out 2026. Then we went into PlayStation Plus. Alan Wake 2, Goat Simulator 3, and Cocoon are all essential games for the month of October, which very, very good games, by the way. Alan Wake 2 certainly fits in nicely to the kind of the Halloween vibe for October. But don't sleep on Cocoon. That is actually a really cool kind of puzzle game. And they did talk about Last of Us Part 2 Remaster. Of course, they can't have a state of play without leaving out The Last of Us, but that's for Last of Us Day on September 26th. And that's going into the PlayStation Plus Premium and Extra service there. And then for classics, these are just, they said, coming in the future. So I don't necessarily know if these are all October games. It kind of sounds like this is over the course of the next couple of months. Tekken 3, Soul Calibur 3, Tomb Raider Anniversary. Those are all very good games going into the classics library, so cool. That looks good to me. Gran Turismo 7 showed up. There's a Spec 3 update in December, new content, tracks, vehicles. I was sitting there and waiting for them to say it's coming to PC. Didn't happen though, so as far as I can tell here, they kind of celebrated the 100 million plus that they've sold for the franchise, and then showed off this update. So good stuff there for Gran Turismo fans. God of War 20th Anniversary is resulting in a DualSense controller here. I know, I was thinking, oh, here it comes. We're going to do, I thought they were going to show the DualSense controller and then go into that 2.5D game or a remaster collection of God of War 1 and 2. No, just the controller. It looks fine enough. It's what you'd expect with the kind of the red on the side there, sure. But really, that's it? Okay. Then we go into the finale, Wolverine. This game looks awesome. There was so much concern about Insomniac and Marvel and Disney and stuff. It's like, okay, how M-rated are they let them go? Guys, this is a bloody and violent, brutal game. And I love it. It is exactly what you would expect Wolverine to be in video game form. It's kind of like what we had back in the day, like that Wolverine Origins game that was really cool, kind of underrated. This looks like it's embodying a lot of that, and that is a good thing. Classic yellow costume was in there, which is great. It's third-person action gameplay as you'd expect, with some of that like cinematic kind of quick-time set-piece events. And I think the executions look great. You have Mystique and Omega Red making some appearances, the Sentinel at the end. They did say that Liam McIntyre is playing Logan, and you'll have different locales, the Canadian wilderness, Japan being locations. More will be shown in spring 2026, and we got the release window of fall 2026, which then sets up for next year. We have Saros and Wolverine. Those are two good pillars for Sony, and I do feel like they'll still mix in a few other things, but I think Saros is a great way to kick off the year, and man, that Wolverine looks great. I'm so excited for this game now after seeing it. Again, I know there were concerns around how Insomniac would handle it. Spider-Man 2 was good. It does feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about it now, though, so Wolverine looks very different from what we've seen Insomniac do in the past, and I'm here for it. So really excited to learn more about this game as we get into spring 2026, and My thoughts on State of Play we'll cover later on when we get to the poll, because I asked you guys, of course, to grade it, and we'll see how that turned out. Next up, let's talk about a big update from Nintendo, as they have been receiving a lot of feedback and certainly a lot of backlash around Mario Kart World. And I mean, that's a big release for them. It was to launch the Switch 2, and there have been some frustrations, we'll say, with the game, especially with the online, but also some stuff when it comes to the free roam mode. And now with this latest update, it seems like they're responding to a lot of it and working to fix quite a bit. We can see this though over on their website, and this is for the version update 1.3.0. It is live as of September 23rd. Starting at the top, they say you can now join friends playing Knockout Tour by selecting friends from online play one player. Thank you. That was one of the more frustrating things, and we started the game up when it first came out with like me, Nate, MVG, and Sean. We were like, hey, let's try Knockout Tour. You can't do it. Okay, that's weird. They say up to 2 players can now play free roam while waiting if the game was full when trying to join friends playing race, knockout tour, or battle in online play. Another annoying thing there, kind of the lobby stuff where you're just hanging out waiting. It's good that they had figured that out there with the free roam being up to 2 players then. The free roam map now displays, thank you, Nintendo, the locations of P-switches you've run over and Peach medallions you've obtained. You can now select a P-switch from the map and move to a location near the P-switch. That was a very frustrating thing as I'm going through the free roam and I realized, wow, this is like an open world checklist game without a checklist. Great. So this is going to make things so much easier, and it's going to make me want to go back and try to complete 100% free roam mode, because you know, I can see where the P-switches and medallions are that I've gotten already, and I can kind of then focus on spaces where I don't have any of them there. Makes way more sense. Decrease the amount of time between when you finish, when spectating begins, and things like Knockout Tour or Balloon Battle. Decrease the amount of time between passing through the checkpoint and when the rankings display. And further increase the frequency of lap-type courses appearing in the selection when choosing the next course in versus race and wireless races. Another big frustrating point for people online, when it seemed like you weren't getting any of the lap races and you were just kind of driving on roads. It was kind of boring. I mean, this is exactly what people wanted to hear about, just about across the board. And that's the thing, and why I mentioned to people, look, you can be really excited about a game, like a game, but then realize there are some shortcomings that these companies can fix. But I think it also gets wrapped up a lot nowadays in people just being angry at the thing and like hating the thing. So there is a nice balance there between, hey, these are things I would like to see fixed as more constructive criticism rather than just yelling at the thing constantly. So I do believe this is something that is moving Mario Kart World in the correct direction, as it's just changes resulting, I would figure, from direct feedback from people who are actually playing the game. Now, will they be adding in content anytime soon? Well, Nintendo sure likes their DLC right now, so probably. Will it be paid or free? I'll let you be the judge of that one. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a new Game of the Year contender, and that's Hades 2. Reviews did drop. We can see this over on Metacritic. Now, there's a few different platforms where it did qualify for a score, of course, the Switch 2 and then the PC. The Switch 1 had like 4 reviews, but really, if you look at it, the Switch 2 is 94, the PC's 95. Yeah, this is the highest rated game at this point of 2025. Now, you can count, I guess, the Zelda updates and stuff, the Switch to it. I don't think most people do. So brand new original game. This is the highest rated title of the year. Yes, above Clair Obscur at this time. And if we take a look at the reviews, the lowest review I could find is an 80. The majority of them are 100, 95, and 90. Even IGN giving it a perfect 10. If we look at the top here, Loot Level Chill says the best roguelite of recent years. Hades 2 will repeatedly beat you down, but leave you gasping, desperate for more, with hours of frenetic gameplay, beautifully wrapped in spectacular graphics, captivating voice acting, and an incredible soundtrack. Restart.Run says, despite being an iterative sequel, Hades 2 improves upon its predecessor in every way that matters, making it one of the best action roguelites out there. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum here again. In 80, this is from VGC. It says, as a sequel, Hades 2 is ambitious and delivers one of the most satisfying roguelite experiences in years, yet it can't escape the shadow of its predecessor, and in trying to add every idea possible to amplify its scale, the story ends up losing the trademark weight of the studio. So I mean, across the board, it looks like reviewers really like this game. Hades 1 was very good. I figured I would also like Hades 2, and here we are now with it rated as the highest in 2025. So yeah, I'll be picking this one up, and I think I'm gonna grab it on the Switch too and just play it there. But there's so much stuff hitting right now. So the nice thing I figure about Hades 2, it's a good pick up and play game, like in short bursts if you need to. So you got 15 or 20 minutes, you might be able to get at least a good part of a run for Hades 2 in at that time, and it's a game where you'll just constantly get stronger as you do more and more runs. So seems like a great spot for a handheld game on the Switch 2, and that's where I'm picking it up. But wow, guys, 2025, we still have a bunch of games coming up here, but it's getting down to the wire for Game of the Year nominations in a few months as we get to the Keighley Award show. And I'm looking around thinking it's going to be tough to pick out 6 nominees because we already have a bunch of games that are around that 90 range, then several of them well above it. So 2025 has been a pretty good year so far for games. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, give the state of play a grade. C was the #1 response there with 43%, then B at 32%, then D at 17%, and then A at 8%. I am sitting at a B for this one. Now, I think they could do more and maybe even push it over to an A, but I will also admit, Saros and Wolverine, for me, really carried the state of play. And I mean, coming out of it with 2 really cool looking games that I'm looking forward to immediately for 2026, is going to be enough for me to be like at least B territory for an event like a state of play where I don't have it at the same expectation level as a showcase for Sony. But when I see like Wolverine, which again, I think looks awesome, it's one of my most anticipated games going into 2026 at this point. Yeah, I'm probably going to lean into that B territory. But again, let me know down below in the comments what you thought about the state of play, especially with some of the different games there shown from Sony as well as third parties. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Ploy, who says, I hope we get God of War Collection from PS5. We need God of War 1 through 3 on PS5. We only have God of War 3 on PS4 and no way to play God of War 1 and 2 on PS5. You can technically play it, but it's through streaming. And that's just not a great way to play an action game like God of War. You definitely feel the delay, and you know, it could be done so much better natively through a remastered collection on the PS5. They can make those things 120 frames, 4K, the whole thing, right? And I do think that they need to move it up because we have God of War 3, as you mentioned, on the PS4, so it's just backwards compatible. Game still looks awesome, but 1 and 2, like 20th anniversary for God of War, it's all lining up perfectly, and then they just show us a controller, and you go, like so close, so close. So maybe that's still something they have planned and it's in the cards and we just haven't seen it yet. But they would have to, at this time, that I assume was the last state of play for 2025. They would just have to randomly show up one day online and just announce it. They could do that, but I wouldn't necessarily count on it right now. So maybe to start off 2026, when we get that first state of play from Sony, we have the God of War collection for 1 and 2 show up for the PS5. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here on a card. Or maybe you want to check out a full teardown of the Switch 2 and find out all the little things Nintendo didn't tell you about the system. I did that in a video and I'll leave it right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.